The Haunted Hotel. I had heard the stories, of course. Who hadn't? The town of Brooksville had its share of strange places, but none more famous than the Redfield Hotel. The stories surrounding it were legendary. Whispers of flickering lights, eerie footsteps echoing down long corridors, and strange figures that appeared and disappeared without explanation. The locals said the hotel was haunted, cursed by the spirits of former guests who had never checked out. I'd heard all the rumors. The stories of the woman in the third-floor room, the shadowy man who walked the hallways at night, the voices that would call your name when you least expected it. But as a skeptical journalist, I didn't believe in ghosts. I thought it was all just the kind of thing people told each other to make a place seem more interesting. My job was simple. I was assigned to write a feature on the Haunted Hotel, a story that would intrigue readers and boost the hotel's reputation. The Redfield was a beautiful, sprawling building, tucked away at the edge of town, and I was eager to uncover the truth behind the rumors. The Redfield Hotel was a relic of the past. Built in the late 1800s, it stood like a fortress, with its tall stone walls and Gothic architecture. The front doors were enormous, made of dark oak with brass handles that gleamed in the dim light. As I entered the lobby, I was struck by its antique charm, high ceilings, marble floors, and chandeliers that cast a soft, warm glow. There was a certain elegance to the place, despite the years of neglect that had clearly taken their toll. A receptionist stood behind the front desk, her expression cool and disinterested as she handed me a room key. "Your stay has been arranged," she said, her voice flat, as though reciting a well-worn line. "You're on the third floor. Room 307. I'd advise you not to wander around too much after dark. The hotel has a history of unusual occurrences." I nodded, grateful for her advice, though I didn't take it seriously. She seemed like the type of person who believed every ghost story, so I decided to play along. After all, I had a job to do. Room 307 was tucked at the far end of the third floor, a quiet, dimly lit corridor that smelled faintly of mildew. The door creaked when I pushed it open, revealing a modest yet luxurious room. The bed was large, with dark, velvet curtains, and the walls were adorned with vintage paintings of landscapes, their colors faded over time. But it was the window that caught my attention. The glass was old, the frame weathered. Through it, I could see the courtyard, overgrown with ivy, and beyond that, the vast expanse of the woods that surrounded the hotel. It was peaceful, serene even, but something about the place unsettled me. I shook off the feeling and settled in, unpacking my things and setting up my camera gear. I intended to explore the hotel in the morning and gather material for my article. But as night began to fall, the place seemed to take on a different atmosphere. The air grew heavier, colder, and the silence seemed to stretch on for longer than it should. I could hear the occasional creak of the building, the shifting of the floorboards beneath me. Nothing that couldn't be explained by an old structure, but it was enough to make me uneasy. I had just begun to drift off to sleep when I heard it. A soft knock at the door. 3 distinct taps, followed by silence. I sat up in bed, my heart racing. I wasn't expecting anyone, and the receptionist had warned me about wandering the hotel after dark. I stood up cautiously, crossing the room, and peered through the peephole. There was no one there. I opened the door slowly, and the hallway outside was empty. No footsteps, no sounds, just the distant hum of the hotel's old heating system. It was odd, but I shrugged it off. Maybe I was just imagining things, or perhaps a guest had mistakenly knocked on the wrong door. I returned to my bed, trying to dismiss the feeling of unease that had settled over me. But as soon as I lay back down, I heard the sound again. Another knock, this time louder and more insistent. 3 taps. My heart skipped a beat. I hesitated for a moment, then stood up and walked back to the door, this time pulling it open more quickly. But again there was no one there. Just the long, empty hallway stretching out before me. I slammed the door shut, my mind racing. I was trying to make sense of it, to convince myself that it was just the result of an overactive imagination. But something deep inside me knew that there was something wrong with this place. I could feel it in my bones. I tried to sleep, but sleep wouldn't come. The hours seemed to drag on, and the more I lay there, the more I began to feel the presence of something or someone watching me. The air in the room felt thicker now, almost oppressive. My skin tingled with a sense of dread that I couldn't shake. And then I heard it. A whisper. "Help me." I froze, my breath caught in my throat. It was faint, like the sound of a voice from far away. But it was unmistakable. A woman's voice, whispering those words in the dark. "Help me." I scrambled out of bed, my heart pounding in my chest. I didn't know what to do. Was this some kind of prank? Was someone playing tricks on me? I rushed into the hallway, my footsteps echoing on the old wooden floors. The hotel was silent as it had been before, but I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being drawn somewhere. The whisper seemed to guide me, leading me to the far end of the hall, near the staircase that descended into the lobby. There, at the top of the stairs, I saw her. A woman, pale and gaunt, standing just out of reach of the light. Her long dark hair fell in tangled strands around her face, and her eyes were wide, hollow, and black. She was staring directly at me, her mouth slightly open as though she was trying to say something. But no sound came from her lips. I took a step back, my breath shallow, my legs trembling. The woman didn't move. She just stood there, her eyes never leaving mine. I felt the pull of something dark, something evil, and for a moment I was paralyzed with fear. Then, without warning, she vanished. One moment she was there, and the next she was gone like smoke in the air. I stumbled backward, my heart racing, and I could feel the walls closing in around me. The whisper, the voice that had haunted me, was gone, but I wasn't alone anymore. I knew without a doubt that the hotel was haunted. The spirits of those who had once stayed here still roamed its halls, trapped in a place they could never leave. I ran back to my room, slamming the door shut behind me. I locked it, but I could still hear it, the faint sound of footsteps outside the door, the whisper of a woman's voice. "Help me." I spent the rest of the night pacing, unable to sleep. My mind raced with thoughts of the woman, the voices, the feeling of being watched. I couldn't escape it. I couldn't leave. Every time I tried to step outside, I felt the presence of something watching me, something waiting. The next morning, I packed up my things in a daze. I had no intention of staying another night. I wasn't sure what was going on, but I knew I couldn't take it anymore. As I passed through the lobby, the receptionist gave me a knowing look, as if she had seen it all before. "You saw her, didn't you?" she asked quietly, her voice full of sympathy. I didn't respond. I didn't need to. I had seen enough to know that the Redfield Hotel was a place that could never truly be left. The spirits of the past lingered there, trapped in a never-ending loop of torment, and there was no escape for anyone who dared to enter. As I walked out the front doors of the hotel, I glanced back one last time. The windows of the upper floors were dark, but I could have sworn I saw a shadow move behind them. I never went back to Brooksville. And I never spoke of the Redfield Hotel again. But sometimes when I close my eyes, I can still hear the whisper in the dark. "Help me." And I know that the spirits are still waiting for someone to hear.